Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spiegel Mom Scraps channel. It's Caitlin here with another process video. Don't forget to use my code Caitlin15 to save 15% off of the new Spiegel Mom Scraps release. Today I'm actually doing a double page layout featuring my How to Kill a Kit with Style homemade scrapbooking kit for October. This is the first layout that I've created with this kit, so I had a lot to choose from, hence why this video is a little bit longer. So I'm actually going to end up using 7 photos on this double page layout, and I know I've had a lot of requests to do more double page layouts. And this was a perfect one to do it with. I end up pulling out 2 of these light pink polka dotted pattern papers. They're sort of not perfect polka dots, they're like hand-drawn polka dots. And if you haven't seen my How to Kill a Kit with Style homemade kit video, this is the Recollections Peaceful Breeze paper pad. So I pulled out those polka dots and then I set the paper pad aside for now so I can start figuring out the arrangement of my photos. Like I said, I'm going to use 7 photos on this layout, which was a lot for me. I usually only do around 5 on a double page layout. So what I end up doing is taking my 4x6 photos and trimming a lot of them down. Most of them the subject could have been trimmed down. I would have printed these as 3x4s instead of just printing them as 4x6s and cutting them, but I'm quite the lazy photo printer, so I don't tend to do those kind of things. My photos usually are printed by 4x6, and then I'm dealt with trying to figure out how to make them all fit on a page later. So I'm cutting 2 cat photos down to 4x4, 1 cat photo down to 3x4, and then there's a little sign from the place where we adopted our cats, and I'm cutting down to 3x4. So this page is actually our adoption of the cats, Poppy and Lily, our newest cats. We got them in February of 2018. And they're just so adorable. So this is the day we met them. This is actually 2 days in one. We met them before we adopted them. The day we met them, we applied to adopt them, and then we had to come back later once the adoption was approved to pick them up and take them home. And this is when we lived in Maryland too, so it's kind of crazy to look back on this. And this is where we lived. It was quite far away from where we lived, where we actually adopted them. And I'm sorry that the screen's so zoomed in. I've had some requests to do more closer shots on what I'm working on. So what I end up doing is moving whatever page I'm working on currently to the middle of the screen, which you'll see in a little bit. So trying to figure out a layout for these was quite difficult. I didn't pull out a sketch, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I ended up doing a 4-part cluster on the right-hand page and then a 3-part photo cluster on the left-hand page. It kind of balances each other out because there's bigger photos on the left-hand page and smaller photos on the right-hand page, so that works out quite nicely. I do pull out my Wild Heart 6x8 paper pad, but I don't end up using any of those papers. I pull out my Spiegel Mom Scraps doily, which are in the shop. If you haven't picked some of those up yet, you have to. They're my favorite delicate doilies. They're absolutely awesome. And I end up going with the larger photo on top and the 2 smaller ones on the bottom. My 2 smaller photos are actually different sizes, slightly different sizes, which kind of bothers me, but I end up fixing that little gap later on. Here I'm looking for some other pieces of paper to layer behind my doilies because it's kind of looking quite plain. And again, sorry for the glare on the photos. I'm still working on the lighting situation. And if you don't follow me on Instagram at Gray Florals, I've been doing a craft room rearrange. And it's just been quite hectic, but I'm really happy with how it's turning out, and I have a full video on my personal channel with all of that information. So you saw me pull out a washi tape. This is like a darker blue, almost looks brown when I put it on this paper, horizontal stripe washi tape, and I'm putting strips of that on the bottom of each of my pages to give that continuity besides just the background pattern paper. And then I decided to pull out a doily for the background of these photos as well, just to, again, for continuity purposes, and it just gives it a more dainty feel, which for adopting our 2 girls, it was pretty cute to have that dainty sort of feel. I thought about using a cut apart for my journaling, but I ended up not being able to fit it the way I wanted it to. So what I plan on doing instead for my journaling is either strips of journaling typed on a computer or just writing on the dots. It's a lighter colored pattern, so I'm not really concerned with the pen not showing up, so I think it'll look okay. I do pull out this copper foiled pattern from that Wild Heart paper pad, and I cut it down and everything, and then I end up not using it, which is okay. It just sucks that this paper pad only has 1 of each design, I believe, so that's a little bit something I'm not used to working with, but again, that's fine. I'll find a way to use it someday. I even thought about using some of my Tim Holtz die cuts that I pulled out for this kit, but I decided against that as well. I pull out an LE Studio cut apart that says never forget these little moments, and then I decided I should probably start gluing stuff down before I change my mind. I could have done a lot more paper layering, but I decided not to. just a simple one piece of paper behind the doilies for each one, and then the photos kind of speak for themselves. Since they're in this grid pattern, it'd be really annoying to try to mat all of them. So I decided to just do this instead. Just kind of push them together and then add embellishments later on. So once I have those all glued, I'm just going to use my T-square ruler to make sure it's straight. I'm going to add this little embellishment in the middle there. It helps make that gap feel less weird. It's just weird that 4 photos came together in like the same spot. I add this My Mind's Eye sticker from the Bliss collection, which is actually a wedding collection, but it's just a little heart banner, which I thought was adorable, so I've decided to throw that on there. And then I use a couple stickers later on from that Simple Stories, or is it Carpe Diem? I'm not sure which collection that is. I think it might be a different one, the Reset Girl perhaps. I will use some of those later on. Here I'm pulling out another paper from the paper pad, which was a darker color, which sort of was like that pattern I pulled out earlier with the copper on it. This one just worked out a little bit better because I pulled in some darker elements from the sticker sheet with that heart banner and with also the washi tape at the bottom. So the darker elements of the photos help pop with this one. And again, it's got that dainty feel, and since I'm putting the doily on top of it, it softens it quite a bit. So I don't really have to worry about that part. So I have these laid down, and you also saw me pull out a wood veneer flower piece, which is actually from Michaels. It's an older flower piece, and I'm so glad I got to use it. It wasn't even in my stash kit, but it just works so nicely with this layout. And you could paint it or anything, but it has nice detailing already on it, so I decided to keep it that way. And there's one of those arrow stickers from the Reset Girl sticker pack. Let's see. I do use a couple more of these stickers from the Bliss collection. I use one of these flower stickers, which mimics the flower shapes that are in this wood veneer. And then I use this word love that has some gold foiling on it, some little polka dots. And I put that at the top here. So I have that gold foil at the top of the photo set and in the bottom of the photo set with that heart banner. I do have these older stickers that I don't end up using. And now I'm just going to start looking through additional embellishments. I pull out that label, which is the last one on that sheet from We Are Memory Keepers, so happy to use that. I use a bunch of these die cuts, which are from My Mind's Eye. They did a cat collection a little while back, and I picked up this set of die cuts, and I have some of the papers in my stash as well. So I know I have to pull out more wood veneer pieces since I'm using a giant wood veneer on the left hand side of my page, and I want to keep that texture to the right hand side of my page and throughout my design. So I will be pulling out some words here, which are from Studio Calico. I used remember and hello, and the hello ends up being part of my title. And then I also have some hearts scattered around, just some hearts from my wood veneer stash. And I'm just gluing those down with some liquid adhesive to make sure they stick, because sometimes they don't stick with regular adhesive. I use a couple puffy stickers from this Paper House set. I just used 2 little, I guess you'd call them chevron arrows. I'm not 100% sure. But I used 2 of those in that bottom cluster, and now I'm looking through the rest of my die cuts, which I filmed this right after I filmed my kit share, so all my stuff was already out and I didn't really put it away yet, so everything was just on my desk, which was kind of helpful but also kind of hindering the experience because everything was underneath what I was working on. But again, that's okay. I made it work. I also include this cat, which is from that same My Mind's Eye collection. And I decided to include the pink one. I also had a gray one, but there wasn't a lot of gray on this layout, so I thought the pink worked better. And since we just adopted 2 little girl cats, I thought it'd be perfect. Here's an interesting item I decided to pull out. These are the green thickers that I showcased in that kit share. And there's only a little bit of green on this layout. It's in that dark brown pattern paper that I slipped under the photos on the left-hand side, and in that heart banner on the right-hand side. So there's definitely not a lot of green, but I just thought this worked so well with the color scheme that I had to use it. So I just write out the word girls, so it says hello girls, which is kind of cute, and we call them girls now. We refer to both of them. So I thought that was a good way to incorporate that into the title. And like I mentioned earlier, I plan on just journaling on the background paper. So to finish off this layout, I'm going to use 2 sequin mixes, Baby Butterfly and Sweet Things. I'm using the the pinks in the wood grains in Baby Butterfly, and then there's these adorable pink flowers in Sweet Things that I decided to use, which again adds that dainty feel. I could have brought in a green sequin, I just decided not to, but you could definitely do that if you wanted a second pop of color. I just like the subtleness of this set of sequins with the baby pink color that's throughout this layout. But that's pretty much it for this layout. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want to see more double page videos here over on the Spiegel Mom Scraps channel. I do have more over on my personal channel in case you're interested, which I'll have linked down below. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll have some close-up video and photos at the end. Make sure to use my code if you're heading to the Spiegel Mom Scraps shop so you can save on your order. But that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!